close to the homes. Some are back to back to the homes right next to the buildings. 13 of the 15 on this sheet do not qualify under the state regulations of the 600 feet and should be, if we pass these contracts with these people, they're just going to have to pay the city again to come in through here. Because all this that I have of information is going to be filed with the state, and then they'll have to kick the thing back to the city, and then you're going to have weed growers very upset that they didn't pass on the first one, and they'll have to spend the money with the city and with the state again. So I highly suggest that you people take, the problem was, and you guys got dumped on this, and I know Amy Harbin was blamed for this, but it had nothing to do with Amy Harbin. It had to do with the city attorney's office going a roundabout way of not doing through the planning commission, just like you do every contract that any builder does in this city. They have to go through planning, then through council. But they didn't do their due diligence. They didn't do their job right. And now here we are. You guys are all being pressured to do this quick vote for this thing that's not right for this city and for any of the business people around the city. So you want to really think on it. I know you guys have been pressured really hard with the council to get this thing through because all the weed growers want to get in and get going. But the thing is, the root awakening is it's not going to happen when it gets to the state level. So look at the pictures. If you have questions when I come up for the public hearing, be more than happy to answer them. Most of these things are close to the homes. You have two of the businesses that are right next to homes. I mean, not even a 50-foot deal. And the city passed an emergency ordinance back in December of 50 feet, which was illegal because the state says 600 sensitive feet, which means sensitive can be teen centers, schools, can be restaurants that are heavily with teens in there, which we have the P&G restaurant up there on Powinnie. Plus the two Powinnie ones are close to the teen center and are disqualified also on the footage. So they don't meet the 600-foot requirement. So a lot of these don't meet the requirement and need to be held back, get right addresses that they can do. And when I went around the city and saw how many empty buildings all throughout this area, it wouldn't be a problem finding a building over in an area over there. But when they put them over here in the residential with the commercial, you've got homes all around here and restaurants and kids walking back from school. Thank you very much.
Ken Woods, Baldwin Park resident and business owner. Mr. DeFoya at that last meeting explained it very well about these drug dealers, that they're going to flood Baldwin Park with money. They're going to flood the police department with money. You know the city council is getting their cuts. And does money cure all problems? I don't think so. I think it's going to create more problems than it's going to pay for. And the drug dealers, they are drug dealers. What else are they? They're dealing in drugs. Do you want Baldwin Park to be known as the center of the drug dealers? We used to have a bad name. It took years and years. Some of you guys have been around that long know that it took years to clean this town up. It's a great place to live. We've stayed here. We could have moved out many times. We stayed here. But I don't want drug dealers taking over our city. They're taking over the city council. There's no doubt about that. But we don't want them to take over our city. I'm against this whole thing. Thank you.
Hello, City Council, Arturo Roberto Luna. You guys, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. You have to vote for the benefit of 70-some,000 people in this city. No matter how many times we tell the City Council and you Planning Commission people, you have to vote for 99.9% of all the people in Baldwin Park. You're only voting for the people that are going to make a chunk of money. Everybody claims we make a lot of money on this deal, but let me tell you, there may be a few here and there, but not everybody makes money. Some of the residents are already complaining that the building's next to them. So whoever did all this planning, or maybe the lawyer did it all, it seems like, he is more involved in what the city council wanted than what you people are supposed to be doing. He gave the impression that he was dictating to you people that you were supposed to pass this no matter what. It gives me the impression the lawyer is running the city and you people are just puppets for him, including the lawyer that's here now. You guys supposed to work for us. I know you don't. The way you do things, it seems like you're working for individual people. The city council is the same way. You people have to work for all of us. We're the ones that pay the taxes. We're the one that pays the assessment that you guys in the city council invent. It's all the same thing. When I get my tax rate, I'm going to bring it and show the other lady that she's wrong, but it's okay. But you people got to remember, you tear this city apart, if you're a resident, you're going to go down with it also. And as far as we are concerned, the mayor, all he was worried about is looking good. You people need to look good for all of us. That's what you're here for. That's why you were voted in, to vote and push the city to the better profit. But lately, it doesn't seem like there's very much money coming in. And don't think one thing that you guys may do is going to make the city a billionaire city. I've yet to hear any of these cities that have marijuana growth or sale making trillions of dollars. Uncle Sam can't make it, much less an individual person. So you people need to vote for all of us, not just what benefits certain individuals. That's not how you run Congress. Mr. Trump wants that, and please don't follow the same situation, because it doesn't work. Thank you.
Don Rios, resident. I went with Mr. Tuttle over the weekend to pick up all those pictures that we took, the measurements and everything, you know. I talked directly into my friends in Sacramento, and this is, okay, we'll take it. Send us our pictures. The residents have more rights than what you guys have. You know, so, you know, use your conscience. You know, I know they've been pressuring you guys. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. We have to do it. We have to do it. We have to do it. You guys don't have to do, for $50 a year, you guys don't have to do anything. Don't fall in the trap. All they're thinking about is lining on the pocket, okay? So, like I said, use your conscience. You know, there's too many kids involved in the areas that they're trying to do it, okay? Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? You have 3 minutes. No? Then I close public hearing. Next is, where is it? I had it right here. Are we going to do the consent calendar?
There's nothing on consent.
The minutes? The minutes from...
No, we don't have the minutes.
Oh.
Yeah. We go straight to reports of officers, item 2.
Okay.
Chair, there were minutes included. There were minutes included in the staff report. The action minutes for April 11th, last week's Planning Commission.
Okay.
It's not listed on the on my agenda. Is it on somebody else's?
Yeah, I on this agenda, and I also saw them online. I was able to read the minutes
Okay.
online.
To approve minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from April 11th.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved. Now, for the consent calendar, there's no consent calendar. Abraham, there's no consent calendar today?
There are.
Oh, we already
minutes.
approved it in the minutes, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no public hearing items. We can move over to reports of officers with the item. And our Community Development Director will do the presentation for that item.
Okay,
Just as point of clarification, the public hearing was opened and closed at the last meeting. So what you will be doing today is deliberations.
Honorable Chair, members of the Planning Commission, what we placed before you are 3 items. There is a fact sheet that the city staff put together for you, along with a timeline that identified the cannabis process that took place. And the city's regulations of cannabis is the 3rd page. Separate from that, you received correspondence from Pierce Law Firm dated April 17, 2018, and it is addressed to the City Council and to the Planning Commission, so we place this letter before you for your review. So just quickly, based on the staff report that was previously provided to you, I'd like to summarize some of the items that we've had before you with the cannabis. To make clear for the audience and for yourselves, the city does not allow dispensaries, so there are no retail sales in the city of Baldwin Park. Only indoor, secure, controlled cultivation, manufacturing, transportation, and testing are allowed. All development agreements have been found to be in accordance with state law. Development agreements have shown to bring over $4 million annually in general fund revenue to the city. And out of that $4 million, $750,000 each year can be dedicated towards police or public safety, including funding for additional officers. The city has collected $225,000 in admin fees thus far. The businesses will be required to meet strict guidelines regarding water, air quality, and security, including 24-hour video surveillance. And the police department has approved each of the security plans that are within the development agreement provisions. This approval, staff has found, will bring approximately 500 jobs to the city, with the development agreements being committed to hiring at least 20 to 30% of its workforce from Baldwin Park. And lastly, these development agreements are intended as a catalyst to positively impact the city's local economy. And again, this is by bringing new jobs and residents to the city who will shop, eat, and buy gas here in Baldwin Park. Second page identifies the cannabis timeline. Identifies what happened in November 1996 when the voters of California approved Prop 215, thereby approving the Compassionate Use Act of 1996. At the time, it was for medical use only. And then in November of 2016, they passed the Prop 64, referred as Control, Regulate, and Tax Adult Use of Marijuana Act. And again, that was for recreational purposes. And for over a year, the city has had study sessions beginning in December of 2016 up to June of 2017. Press release was published, and a second press release followed. There were additional workshops at the Baldwin Park Senior Center, at the Baldwin Park Performing Arts Center, and at the Arts and Recreation Center, June 19th, 26th, July 10th, and July 17th. And the public hearings followed after staff took in the applications, processed them, held the first public hearing with the Planning Commission for the Zoning Code Amendment on August 9th, 2017, and that led all the way to the last public hearing of December 13th, 2017, whereby the City Council approved 15 cannabis development agreements. Now what you have here before you is review of those 15 cannabis that are coming before the Planning Commission as a request from the City Attorney's Office to move forward and present those to you. and the city attorney can fill you in more on that. But these recommendations tonight will go on to the city council, who will take the final action. And the last page identifies the regulations of cannabis. And again, just to note, there was a public article that read in the Tribune, Baldwin Park to consider pot shops. We just want to make it clear that dispensaries are prohibited in Baldwin Park. It's just the cultivation, manufacturing, testing, and distribution that's allowed. So looking at the provisions of the development agreement that are in compliance with the code provisions, in other words, the medical and adult use code that you adopted, or that you recommended for adopting, the city council adopted, there's no manufacturing or cultivation site located within 600 feet of a sensitive use school, daycare center, or youth center. And 600 feet is a city provision, not a state provision. The state requires 50 feet from residential. That is the only state requirement. No manufacturing or cultivation site will be within 50 feet of a residential zone. And per our city attorney's office, that 50 feet is from building to building. City staff has reviewed and confirmed that the distance criteria for the 15 proposed applicants has met this criteria. However, as an additional safeguard, the applicants are required to confirm the distance criteria as part of their plan check submittal. They're all going through tenant improvement submittals before occupancy can be allowed for these uses. So just like someone coming in with a proposal for setbacks or height, the architect verifies those before the permit is cleared. So the same thing would happen here. Before that tenant improvement plan gets approved, they are going to have to verify with an architect that the distance criteria has been met. And all manufacturing and cultivation sites are limited to two zones within the city, the industrial zone and the industrial commercial zone. All manufacturing and cultivation have to be in an enclosed, locked structure, and again with a security plan in place. All manufacturing and cultivation sites and all equipment used has to be in compliance with state law as well as local law, including building, electrical, and fire codes. Use and storage of hazardous materials has to comply with fire code requirements. All manufacturing and cultivation sites are required to be fire sprinklered under the fire code. And from a public right-of-way, there cannot be any exterior evidence of manufacture or cultivation of cannabis except for any authorized signage. But these manufacturers are not looking to advertise to the public. Again, it's manufacturing, cultivation, it's not retail sales. All transportation of cannabis must comply with state law. And there are higher standards for granting permits from the state because the city will be identifying a permit, but ultimately the state has to approve their own license. So this is just one step. State still has to approve. Requirements for security cameras have to be installed and maintained on the sites. Alarm system is required. Requirements that licenses implement a system to track the cultivation and manufacturing of cannabis in order to prevent the licensee from diverting or transporting cannabis to any location that's not authorized by the state. And again, video surveillance requirements, another thing that's listed. All applicants have to execute this development agreement. They have to agree to the provisions. And the city attorney's office has gone through these provisions with each applicant. And each of them has, again, their own separate provisions, very similar, but some, for instance, with transportation could be different than manufacturing and cultivation. Requirements that the facilities maintain insurance in amounts and types acceptable to the city, including naming the city as an additional insured. There's requirements that inspections by the chief executive officer or his designee or law enforcement or their designee of facility be required. Control and regulation of noxious odors. The facility has to ensure that it is not emitting odors out, and that's something that will be verified. And lastly, provide the citywide powers to summarily suspend or revoke the permits or disqualify any applicant from the registration process if these terms are not applied or not complied with. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have a few remarks. Mr. President, members of the Planning Commission, your duty today is to deliberate on the issue of whether you wish to recommend approval or denial to the City Council. Remember that you have your legislative hat on today as opposed to your quasi-judicial hat, and your legislative hat says that you don't have the authority to approve or deny these projects. However, you do have the ability to make a recommendation to City Council. So all I'm saying is that that's your duty today, is to make a recommendation of approval or denial. That concludes my remarks.
All right. And as for the questions that were brought up, well, Commissioner Mario's not here, but I spoke with him earlier today. He says his questions were answered. Are your questions answered? Does any of the other commissioners have any more questions? All right, then as for where's that? Oh, okay. All right. All right. As for the resolution, is there a motion to pass? There is no motion. As the lawyer just said, we had the public hearing during the last meeting. This is just a continuation.
It says set matters for public hearing right here on the agenda.
It says reports of officers.
I'm reading says set matters public hearings, 5:30 p.m.
No, it says it's under reports of officers.
Above officer reports of officers.
Yeah, we just said it. Public communication, this is under.
That's right, it's under reports of officers. That's what my agenda says.
The set matters under public hearings identify no items. It says none.
Yes.
It states none under set matters of public hearings.
Right down here.
Yes, it says none, sir, right underneath that paragraph. And then following that is the report of
You're not
officers.
hearing anything on the public hearing on this.
It was heard last on April 11th, I believe. That was the.
But they didn't vote on it.
Carried it over with questions.
Can we have a point of order? You are here to deliberate and to make a motion on this one way or the other. The public hearing was held at the last meeting. The deliberations were continued to this meeting. And of course, you're welcome to join us at 7 o'clock when the City Council will take up this matter.
We need to talk to this gentleman right here. They are talking right now, so they can make a decision.
That's it, no.
That's by the public.
Okay, go ahead.
I move to recommend this matter for approval.
As you would.
Is there a second? I'll second it. All those in favor, say aye. Oh, yeah,
You want to do a roll call?
you want to do it by roll call?
Can I ask a question before we put this to a vote?
Sure, go ahead.
So, I know that we've been assured that this has been vetted by the planning department, and I have full confidence in the planning department, and I believe that everything is accurate. However, I'm looking at the image of 5148 Bleecker Street, and well, first it's saying that there's a house next door, and the image clearly shows a residence next door. My question, so the development agreement lists an address but doesn't list a suite, so I'd imagine that Suite A or Suite B, likely next door, would be within a 50-foot radius. Do we have a suite number for that development agreement?
Street were you looking for?
It's 5148 Bleecker Street.
Bleecker Street, that was one commercial building.
Right, so that's what I'm saying.
A or B, it was one building. I just get the full address on there. See, it's on the corner, 48 up at the top.
Well, yeah, but the first door window has an A above it.
No, there's no way, it's one building, not two buildings.
Go ahead, Abraham.
Yes. When I did the radius map searches on these, the one thing to point out is that Bleecker is actually zoned industrial or industrial commercial. So the house next to this, if there is a house next to it, it's actually zoned industrial or industrial commercial. So it's a non-conforming use. Now our ordinance 1408 specifies that it's based on the zoning, not on the use.
That's correct. It's residential zoning. So you see, it's not zoned residential. And again, staff has gone out and measured all the distances with the GIS you used, or?
Yes, we used some software that allows us to measure with an aerial and a measuring tool.
I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
All right. I believe we are still in the motion. So can we have a roll call for it?
Chair Kevin Rooney.
Yes.
Vice Chair Mario Maciel. Commissioner Edwin Borcas.
Yes.
Commissioner Edith Flores.
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher Sines.
Yes.
Motion passes until the city council later on.
Right.
All right. We don't have nothing else on the agenda, do we?
No. Commissioner comments if you want. If not, a motion to adjourn would be appropriate.
All right.
I guess I'd like to make some comments. I don't know if these can be attached to, I guess, the resolution given to the City Council. But first off, I do, again, I have full confidence in the Planning Department, and I believe that everything that has been submitted to us is factual, and we're voting on, as saying that the findings of fact were correct, and because the findings of facts were correct, we are recommending approval. However, a few of my concerns from last meeting were one, the I guess overconsumption of electricity by some of these applicants, and so it's my hope that in future development agreements they can look into somehow incentivizing these applicants into applying green technology to offset the carbon footprint, and again, that's probably my only comment. Thank you.
Chair Rooney. You know what kind of made me make this decision? Nearly $1 million each year will be dedicated towards police or public safety. Police or public safety. That's big for me. Hiring Baldwin Park residents. No dispensaries. That people won't even know that the places are there. and investing money in our youth sports, fields, recreational activity, after school. It's all about youth. I will push for that. I will, let the city council know my feelings towards that, and that's, the police and all those other factors are a big deal for me.
Thank you. As for me, I let people know for me, I believe in the manufacturing of marijuana, not the sales in Baldwin Park, but I believe in the medical benefits of it. I've seen it firsthand, and that factored into my decision, just to let you know. Do you want to say anything, Commissioner Edith?
I agree with all of you. That's it.
All right. Seeing no further things on the agenda, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Adjourn. 6:03.
Esther, can you get the resolution for him?
Yes, sir.
It'll be hand delivered. Sorry, did you? By hand. Yeah. Resolution. Make it nice. Okay.
Questions we had or
Kevin Rooney. That was all.
Can't be denied by anybody.
Right. So
that's okay.
mine is on.
So we have to wait.